When we think of Hollywood, we often picture wealth and fame. However, in this latest update, we're about to show you the darker side of this glamorous world. The very people who once stood at the peak of stardom ended up dying with nothing to their name. What happened to them? Let's dive in and find out. Judy Garland. Judy Garland, forever immortalized as Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, earned a staggering $40 million throughout her career, a monumental achievement for her era. Yet, tragically, by the time of her death on June 22, 1969, at just 47, her life had fallen into turmoil. Her estate was worth a mere $40,000, a stark contrast to her former wealth, and she left behind a mountain of debt, including $4 million owed to the IRS. Garland's downfall was the result of a heartbreaking combination of addiction, mismanagement, and personal strife. Struggling with prescription drug and alcohol dependencies, she spent years battling the toll on her health and finances. Untrustworthy agents and advisors compounded her troubles, mishandling her earnings. Her third husband, Sid Luft, was also blamed for squandering much of her fortune. As her personal life unraveled, Garland found herself performing in smaller venues, trying to cover mounting bills. In her final years, she even fled from hotels unable to pay her debts. Despite her unmatched talent, she was forced to perform in a London nightclub, earning meager fees just to survive and care for her children. Barbara Payton. Barbara Payton, once a promising starlet who dazzled in Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye, 1950, alongside James Cagney, seemed destined for Hollywood's A-list. With her striking beauty and undeniable talent, she appeared on the verge of stardom. But behind her glamorous image was a life marked by poor choices and personal tragedies. Payton's career quickly faltered as she became entangled in scandal, volatile relationships, and a dangerous love affair with partying and substance abuse. Her reputation was tarnished by multiple arrests for public drunkenness and writing bad checks, which led to her career's swift decline. As movie roles became scarce, her life spiraled out of control. By her late 30s, she was forced into prostitution to survive, a shocking fall from the bright future Hollywood had once promised her. Decades of substance abuse took a devastating toll on her health, leaving her physically and emotionally shattered. At just 39, Payton died alone on May 8, 1967, at her parents' home, without the means for a proper funeral. Her body was quietly cremated, an unceremonious end to a woman who had once captivated the world. Terry Thomas. Terry Thomas, the charismatic English comic actor known for his signature gap-toothed smile and impeccable comedic timing, was a beloved figure in British film and television. He rose to fame in the 1950s and 1960s with a series of memorable roles in comedies such as I'm All Right, Jack, 1959, and The Private Life of Sherlock Holmes, 1970. However, his later years were marred by personal and financial hardships. In 1971, Terry Thomas was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, a debilitating condition that gradually affected his ability to perform and left him struggling with significant medical expenses. As his health deteriorated, his finances followed suit. The costs of ongoing treatment and care forced him to sell his home and many of his personal possessions. Once a successful actor living in the limelight, Terry Thomas found himself in dire financial straits, relying on the generosity of friends and fans to make ends meet. Despite his health challenges, Terry Thomas continued to appear in small roles and make public appearances, but his career had dwindled, and his wealth had largely been spent on medical bills. He died on January 8, 1990, at the age of 78, his fortune gone, but his legacy as one of Britain's great comic actors forever intact. Veronica Lake. Veronica Lake, The glamorous Hollywood starlet, best known for her iconic peekaboo hairstyle, enchanted audiences throughout the 1940s with her beauty and magnetic presence. With standout performances in Sullivan's Travels, 1941, and This Gun for Hire, 1942, she seemed destined for lasting fame. However, beneath the surface, her life was overshadowed by a series of personal struggles that would ultimately derail her promising career. Alcoholism, mental health challenges, and a string of failed marriages took a severe toll on her well-being and professional life. As her personal issues intensified, Lake's career faltered, and by 1951, she was forced to declare bankruptcy, a stark contrast to her earlier stardom. In the years that followed, she found herself in far less glamorous roles, working as a waitress and hostess during the 1960s, an unthinkable fall for a woman once adored by Hollywood. Despite her decline, Lake chose to stay largely out of the public eye, wrestling with the repercussions of her faded fame. On July 7, 1973, at just 50 years old, she passed away from complications related to hepatitis and acute kidney injury, though her ongoing battles with addiction undoubtedly played a part in her untimely death. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you are on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Marie Prévost. Marie Prévost, a dazzling star of the silent film era, captivated audiences with her beauty and talent, starring in over 100 films. However, as Hollywood transitioned to talkies, Prévost's career quickly unraveled. With a voice that didn't fit the new sound era, she was pushed to the sidelines, unable to maintain the stardom she had once enjoyed. Struggling with the loss of her career and the harsh realities of Hollywood's fleeting fame, Prévost fell into a spiral of alcoholism and depression. Isolated and in despair, she found herself living in a run-down apartment with just $300 to her name. In the final years of her life, she battled severe alcoholism and malnutrition, leading to her untimely death on January 21, 1937, at the age of 38. Her tragic end serves as a poignant reminder of the fragility of fame, as the lights of Hollywood dimmed for yet another promising star, swallowed by addiction and neglect. Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy Davis Jr., the legendary entertainer whose career spanned decades and included everything from music and dance to acting and comedy, was beloved for his incredible talent and charisma. However, despite his fame and fortune, Davis faced serious financial troubles throughout his life. When he passed away on May 16, 1990, at the age of 64, his financial situation was dire. He owed the IRS over $7 million in back taxes, a staggering sum that had been accumulating for years. Even after liquidating his assets, Davis's estate was still left with a debt of $5.2 million. Davis's financial struggles were largely the result of his excessive spending, which included a lavish lifestyle, extravagant purchases, and costly gambling habits. He was known to indulge in high-stakes betting, often losing significant amounts of money. What made his financial ruin even more tragic was that it came at a time when he was still performing tirelessly, giving his all to entertain and support his family. Sammy Davis Jr.'s story is a reminder that even the brightest stars can face financial ruin when personal choices, excess, and mismanagement take their toll. Bela Lugosi. Bela Lugosi, the iconic actor forever immortalized for his portrayal of Count Dracula in the 1931 classic Dracula, is one of the most enduring figures in horror cinema. His deep, commanding voice and eerie presence made him a legend, but behind the scenes, his life was marked by profound personal struggles. As his fame faded, Lugosi found himself battling severe financial difficulties, compounded by a morphine addiction that began after a back injury in the 1930s. The addiction, along with his declining health, significantly affected both his career and his finances. In 1955, Lugosi was forced to file for bankruptcy, a desperate measure that reflected the financial ruin he faced despite his earlier success. His later years were spent largely in obscurity, with roles in low-budget films such as Plan 9 from Outer Space, 1959, which would eventually gain cult status but offered little financial relief. Lugosi's health continued to deteriorate, and his once celebrated career was overshadowed by personal demons and a series of bad investments. Bela Lugosi passed away from a heart attack on August 16, 1956, at the age of 73, leaving behind minimal assets and little of the fortune that once seemed destined to follow his fame. Bud Abbott. Bud Abbott, one half of the legendary comedy duo Abbott and Costello, brought joy to millions with his impeccable timing and straight-man routines alongside the irrepressible Lou Costello. Their famous Who's on First? The sketch remains one of the most beloved comedy routines in history, cementing Abbott and Costello as icons of the golden age of Hollywood. In the years following the duo's peak, Abbott faced severe financial difficulties, largely due to tax issues with the IRS. His income from their radio and film work, once substantial, dwindled, and mismanagement of his finances compounded the problem. Despite his fame, he found himself in the grips of debt, struggling to pay back taxes and living under the shadow of his financial troubles. In addition to his financial woes, Abbott faced personal struggles, including health issues, which made it harder for him to continue working at the level he had in his prime. When Bud Abbott passed away on April 24, 1974, at the age of 78, he was virtually penniless. The man who had once been a major star, filling theaters with laughter, died in obscurity, having spent his later years battling financial ruin. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn, the dashing star known for his legendary roles in Captain Blood, 1935, and The Adventures of Robin Hood, 1938, was the epitome of Hollywood glamour at the height of his career. With his undeniable charm, good looks, and string of successful films, Flynn seemed destined for a life of luxury. However, by the time of his death on October 14, 1959, at just 50, his estate was shockingly worth only $10,000, a stark contrast to the millions he had once earned. Flynn's financial ruin stemmed from reckless spending on yachts, mansions, and an extravagant lifestyle, coupled with personal and legal troubles. A high-profile statutory rape trial in 1943 not only tarnished his reputation, but drained his resources through costly legal fees. His divorce from actress Lili Damita and a failed film project further deepened his debt. By his final years, struggling with alcoholism and health issues, Flynn's once glittering career had crumbled. To help us create more engaging content, please let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you found this video interesting, just comment, "OK." Thank you for your support. Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle. Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle was once one of the highest-paid and most popular actors in Hollywood during the silent film era, earning over $1 million a year at the peak of his career. However, his promising career came to a tragic halt after a scandal that would haunt him for the rest of his life. In 1921, Arbuckle became embroiled in a sensational scandal when actress Virginia Rappe died following a party at his hotel. Arbuckle was accused of rape and manslaughter, allegations that would devastate both his reputation and his career. Despite being acquitted after 3 highly publicized trials, the damage was irreversible. The studios blacklisted him, and his films were pulled from distribution. His legal battles were expensive, and much of his fortune was consumed in the fight to clear his name. In an attempt to revive his career, Arbuckle began working under the pseudonym William Goodrich, but his comeback was only modestly successful. Though he found some work directing, The public's perception of him had shifted irreparably, and his earlier fame could never be recaptured. By the time of his death from a heart attack on June 29, 1933, at just 46 years old, Arbuckle had been reduced to near poverty. He was still in debt, with few assets to his name, and his tragic fall from stardom was a sharp contrast to the exuberant success he once enjoyed. John Garfield. John Garfield, one of Hollywood's most compelling and talented actors, was a pioneering force in the development of method acting, bringing raw emotion and authenticity to the screen in films like Force of Evil, 1948, and Body and Soul, 1947. In 1950, Garfield was blacklisted by the House Un-American Activities Committee, HUAC, which accused him of having communist sympathies. Though he had never been a member of the Communist Party, his political activism and support for labor unions made him a target during the paranoid McCarthy era. The stress of being blacklisted, combined with mounting financial difficulties and a lack of career opportunities, took a heavy toll on Garfield. He struggled to find significant roles after being ostracized by the studios, and his health began to deteriorate. The emotional and financial strain, compounded by the constant pressure of being in the public's crosshairs, led to his physical decline. Garfield, who had always been a picture of vitality and strength, found himself increasingly unable to cope with the weight of his circumstances. At just 39 years old, John Garfield died of a heart attack on May 21, 1952, leaving behind a legacy of powerful performances that would influence generations of actors. Dorothy Dandridge. Dorothy Dandridge, the first African-American woman nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actress for her unforgettable performance in Carmen Jones, 1954, was a trailblazer in Hollywood. Her beauty, talent, and grace made her a symbol of Black excellence. Yet, her groundbreaking success came at a steep price. Racial discrimination limited her opportunities, forcing her into roles that reinforced harmful stereotypes and paid less than those offered to her white peers. Despite her fame, Dandridge struggled financially due to mismanagement and bad investments, and by 1963 she declared bankruptcy, burdened by $150,000 in debt. Her personal life was no less tumultuous, marked by 2 failed marriages and increasing isolation. By September 8, 1965, at just 42, Dandridge's life ended tragically when she was found in her West Hollywood apartment with only 24 cents in her bank account. Type 1 if you're not going anywhere. We love that you're here till the end. The stories of these actors serve as a powerful reminder that fame and fortune can be fragile, and even the brightest stars can face devastating struggles. Their immense talent brought them to the top, but personal battles, financial mismanagement, and the unpredictability of life left them with little at the end. Yet, their legacies continue to inspire and entertain us, proving that while fortunes may fade, true impact endures. Which story did you feel the most empathy for? Leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest Hollywood news from us. See you in the next video.